Stefon Diggs' latest tweet adding fuel to the fire. Buffalo Bills fans and fans across the NFL are thinking that Diggs wants out of Buffalo. Here we can clearly see that Stefon Diggs on March 15th writes a heart emoji and then shortly after that says ready for whatever. And this comes right after the news that the Buffalo Bills sign Curtis Samuel, another wide receiver here for Bills Mafia, who openly admitted he's going to bring some dynamic skill sets to the Buffalo Bills in 2024. These cryptic messages from Stefon Diggs just adds fuel to the fire of people thinking that Diggs doesn't want to be here anymore, that he does want out of Buffalo, or he sees that the writing is on the wall that the Bills will eventually have to part ways with him due to salary cap restraints. Now, we've heard countless NFL analysts declare that Stefon Diggs is no longer a number one wide receiver in the NFL, and I wholeheartedly disagree with that. I think it's truly because we haven't had a dynamic wide receiver, especially on the perimeter next to Stefon Diggs. We've been really relying on Gabe Davis, who did get paid, but really isn't a dynamic, true number one wide receiver in the NFL. I think having a guy like Curtis Samuel, having some players in the inside with Dalton Kincaid, Khalil Shakir, I think even Dawson Knox extending his contract by 3 years, actually getting rid of $6.5 million for the 2024 season, but ultimately increasing his salary by about $12.5 million throughout the total term of that contract. But we could see ready for whatever. A lot of Bills fans are wondering, ready for what? Are you ready to understand that the Bills might have to move on from you? Or is he seeing that the relationship between Joe Brady and also this offense really didn't cater to Stefon Diggs and feeding Stefon Diggs? But I really think teams have figured out how to play Bills Mafia, and that's double covering Stefon Diggs, eliminating Stefon Diggs, putting a safety over the top, having two people bracket Stefon Diggs on a play-to-play basis, and force the Buffalo Bills to win with their other options. We were forced to win with rookie Dalton Kincaid last year. We were forced to win with basically a rookie Khalil Shakir last year, being that he's just so inexperienced, hasn't had a lot of experience. And we were also forced to win with Gabe Davis, who's been here for a little bit, but really was just not on the same page for whatever reason with Josh Allen, the miscommunication at times. I think Gabe Davis has the skill sets. He has everything he needs to be a true number one wide receiver, but it is really boiling down to the mental aspect of this team. And we even heard Gabe Davis openly admit, hey, look, we need to simplify things. And I don't think that's an approach that the Buffalo Bills want to take. And simplifying things doesn't ultimately mean success for the offense. Maybe it means success for a player like Gabe Davis because it's simple. He's not getting confused. There's less to think about on a play-to-play basis. But we need veteran, savvy wide receivers that not only have the skill sets to ball out, but have the mind to ball out. And you hear the term a lot that the NFL and sports, it's 90% mental, right? And I think having a guy like Curtis Samuel here to pair up to Stefon Diggs for the 2024 season is definitely a great thing to see. And I believe Stefon Diggs' stats are probably going to be some of the highest stats that we've seen in the McDermott and Sean McDermott era with Stefon Diggs. Having a dynamic wide receiver like Curtis Samuel, we tried to do it with Jamison Crowder, but he got hurt extremely early. We tried to do it with Emmanuel Sanders too, and that's really probably the best season that Stefon Diggs had was when we had Emmanuel Sanders rotated with Gabe Davis on the perimeter of this team. Now here I just want to show you that Stefon Diggs retweets Trainwreck Sports tweet about Stefon Diggs. It says 4 years ago the Bills traded for Stefon Diggs. His ranks among wide receivers since then, and check out the stats. And you could see, I think a lot of Bills fans or just people in general are maybe getting on Stefon Diggs, and Stefon Diggs has just had it. He's clearly heard the fact that people have declared him as no longer a number one wide receiver in the NFL, which is mind-boggling to me. It really boils down to how teams have played us, as I already mentioned. But you can see in the total amount of games played in the 4 years since trading for Stefon Diggs has played in 66 games. He's tied for first in the NFL among other wide receivers. Receiving yards, he ranks fourth best in the NFL. Total receptions, he ranks first at 445. Targets per game, look at this, only 19th in the NFL. So you look at the stats that he has, even receiving touchdowns, he's tied for fourth in the NFL at 37. And that really boils down to not having a ton of targets. You know, the Bills are not like overly feeding Stefon Diggs to get these numbers. He's right in the middle of the pack, 19th highest in the NFL over the past 4 years in the total amount of targets. So maybe the Bills will benefit from having a perimeter threat to take away the double coverage on Stefon Diggs, the brackets on Stefon Diggs, so that we can up the targets to Diggs, because he's going to be one-on-one. He's going to have more one-on-one situations. And seeing the other stats, seeing how durable he's been, tied for first in the total amount of games, the total receiving yards fourth, the total receiving touchdowns fourth, total receptions first. I mean, this is just signaling that Stefon Diggs is still a true number one wide receiver in the NFL. And when we pair him with a dynamic wide receiver like Curtis Samuel, Dalton Kincaid, Khalil Shakir, a running attack now with James Cook, I think Stefon Diggs in 2024, statistically, stat-wise, could have one of the best seasons of his career. This ready for whatever tweet coming from Stefon Diggs, another cryptic type style of a tweet, really could signal that the writing is on the wall for Stefon Diggs. He knows that his time here in Buffalo is limited. Whether the Bills decide to trade him away, maybe come next year, or maybe it's just a simple release of Stefon Diggs. But I really think after this season, paired up with Curtis Samuel, Stefon Diggs is going to have a great opportunity here to have the best stats that he's ever had in his career, which could very well up the trade value for Stefon Diggs and the Buffalo Bills, considering that we traded away a first-round pick for Stefon Diggs when we first got him here. I don't know if we're going to be able to get a first-round pick back for Stefon Diggs, but maybe we get a second, maybe we get a third, maybe we get something in return for Stefon Diggs, coupled with drafting a wide receiver in this year's NFL draft. What that would do is it would give this rookie a little bit of time. He would have at least 1 year behind Stefon Diggs, behind Curtis Samuel, to learn. We all saw it with Khalil Shakir. Really didn't contribute that much his rookie season. And then his sophomore year, which was last year, really balled out of control for Bills Mafia. So drafting a wide receiver in this year's NFL draft, let him rotate in there, let him contribute a little bit. We'll learn behind Stefon Diggs, even Curtis Samuel, who's going to be here for the next 3 seasons. I think this definitely makes a whole lot of sense for the Buffalo Bills. And maybe this ready for whatever tweet from Stefon Diggs boils down to Joe Brady and how he's putting his own flair and spice on this offense. Maybe Stefon Diggs is ready for whatever this offense brings, right? Whatever newness that we're going to have with Curtis Samuel, clearly a different skill set and body type than Gabe Davis. You go back to Joe Brady working in LSU with Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. I think he's going to try to mimic that here in Buffalo with 2 dynamic number 1 wide receivers, Curtis Samuel and Stefon Diggs. But I appreciate you guys all so much. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit like, subscribe for future content. You can check the links in the description for the BNC chicken wing merch with free shipping, sizes small through 5XL. Also, the course careers, you could receive $50 off the full paid course or sign up to any of their free introduction courses. That's how I personally landed my full-time job in tech sales, but they have software development, they have digital advertising, they have a lot of different career paths that could really help you out, land a high-paying career, and be fully remote. But I appreciate you guys all so much. Hit like, subscribe, and go Bills.